Hello, I'm Hunter Newby, and welcome again to Allied Fiber TV. I'm joined by Dan Powdermaker.
Hi.
Dan, thanks for joining us.
Good to see you again, Hunter.
Thank you. Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing
Yes.
at Arbanet.
Yes.
And we're at ITW. It's May 2010, and we're in Washington, D.C. Weather's a little muggy, as usual.
It is muggy down here.
Yeah, it's muggy, but we love it. We love
Yes.
Washington. We love coming here. So, Dan, thanks for joining. I've got 4 questions I wanted to ask you, specific to infrastructure, whether it's fiber and backhaul and Ethernet and all that infrastructure supporting, ultimately, voice and data applications, which is more germane to your business. But if we can, we'll just spend a moment here.
Okay.
What's the relationship for you between dark fiber and backhaul?
I think that just the prevalence of fiber, both domestically and internationally, has certainly been, one of the key drivers to growth of our business, but of the whole growth in both voice and data services on, as I said, domestic and global basis. We had, starting I think in the late 90s, really a convergence of a lot of new infrastructure, fiber, new technology, a lot of capital, as well as deregulation around the world, which led to the birth of many, many new carriers. Where Arbanet specializes, which is the voice arena, primarily the voice arena, this has given us the opportunity to interconnect with many players around the world and carry traffic for them. And we continue to search out new partners as well as work to strengthen the relationships with our existing ones. And without that fiber, be it dark fiber or lit fiber, we're not, we would struggle to do that. On the data side, the world is going IP. There's no question about that. Voice is moving to IP. We're a big player in the VoIP market. And again, the fiber is a key ingredient in terms of being able to do it.
Great. So how does wireless backhaul impact that relationship between the backhaul and the fiber in your business?
So in terms of our interaction with the mobile carriers, it's primarily on the voice front at this point. And we are working to help the mobile carriers reach the international community effectively. International calling is a critical element of their services, although it's a small piece of most of the mobile carriers' business. The challenge that a lot of the mobile carriers have today is the growth of data. And how do they bring data communications from their mobile towers back to their central offices, to their central sites. And in some places in the world, there's quite a shortage in terms of backhaul capacity. It's not an area that we play in terms of that infrastructure area. What we're able to do in terms of our realm and what we're doing is really help them with the international traffic once it's back into their central switching sites. And we're very cognizant that they're struggling, of course, to find affordable backhaul in the right places.
Right, but an investment in that infrastructure would cause an increase in the traffic, which would ultimately flow to you.
And I think that if you look around the world again, you can both read it in the press, but you can also see that a lot of energy is being put into upgrading capacity between the mobile switching sites, and primarily it's because of the growth of data. The iPhones, the Android, the new platforms, and the shift of usage to some extent, or the growth of usage on the data applications.
So what role does Ethernet play in the present and future?
Well, Ethernet, again, is high capacity, high bandwidth, and the applications that are increasingly driving internet consumption, video, real-time applications, need a lot of bandwidth. And with Ethernet, you get 100 meg, you can get a gigi, and that's critical to serve the end user. The end users want speed, they need it. In our data business, we offer a service where we optimize the IP communications for real-time applications, and we're seeing an increased demand for gigi connections, both domestically but also in Asia and in Europe.
So finally, do you believe that the United States has the physical infrastructure it needs to support all the Ethernet-based transport and backhaul requirements? And if not, what needs to be done?
Well, that's a question I think you have to capture, a moment in time. I think that, that there is a fair amount of debate about whether or not the U.S. or any developed country actually has the right infrastructure in the right places.
Right.
And I think that the U.S. certainly does in many places. There is a digital divide. We heard Bill Clinton last night talk about that in rich countries as well as in poor countries. And there are pockets in this country where the infrastructure is not supporting demand. That creates opportunity for the industry, and we're seeing different players try to exploit that opportunity and provide that. The amount of growth in data communications is so big that where it's sufficient today, in 6 months it may not be sufficient.
Right.
So that's driving both, I think, additional deployments of infrastructure as well as new ways to more efficiently utilize existing infrastructure.
Right.
The U.S. is clearly well ahead of a lot of the developing world, and that would be true of Europe as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not I don't think this industry's done by any stretch of the imagination, in terms of what it needs.
Clearly not.
Yes,
we're not shutting off the lights just yet.
Which is good. Which is good, yes.
So thanks for answering those questions. Now maybe transition a little bit more to some ARBANET business. You had an announcement regarding a relationship with a network provider in Afghanistan. You want to elaborate a little on that?
Yeah, so Roshan is the leading GSM provider in Afghanistan. It's a company that was funded by the Ali Khan as well as Cable and Wireless International, and we've been in discussions with them for several months, and just today announced a relationship where they will utilize our exchange voice services, where they're able to buy and sell international traffic. Their interest there is to gain access to the international carrier community and allow those carriers to send traffic directly onto their network. At the same time, they want to buy international destinations on the exchange so that they can better serve their retail customers in Afghanistan. The second service that they've selected is ARBANET's private exchange service, which is a fairly unique, or maybe a completely unique service that enables Roshan to directly peer with a clearly designated carrier anywhere in the world and exchange traffic. And ARBANET handles the back office. We handle the network, the routing, the credit, the settlement.
This is a layer 3 peer?
Yes. And both of them are going into service. We're quite excited with this relationship. It's one of a few international interconnects that they have, and I think that the primary reason that they selected us is just the flexibility that we're now offering the marketplace and the ability that we give them to reach a very, very wide swath of the international carrier community. Voice business exclusively at this point. We'll look at data services down the road, I'm sure.
That's definitely a unique relationship given their location on planet Earth and the difficulty, I suppose, in having them provide for direct connections to all these different networks that already sit behind you.
They've done an amazing job in a country that is, struggling to get back on its feet and change. I mean, they've managed to deploy a network in, I think, all the provinces. They've won a number of awards, and it's a state-of-the-art network. There's a big population in Afghanistan, and for the most part, they want to interact with the rest of the world.
Right.
And Roshan is playing a key piece, and I'm very pleased that ARBANET's able to help.
Yeah, certainly an interesting development.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, thank you very much for joining us here on AFTV today.
Thank you, Hunter. Good to see you again.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.